Hello, welcome to the Joel Fleischman Happy Hour Podcast, episode number 76, with a very special guest. I was on his very first podcast and number 100.
Yes.
Legendary podcast, getting 50,000 to 60,000 a week every time you publish, right? Or episode, whatever you call it.
We're hitting those on a monthly basis.
Bradley Hartmann.
In due time.
Bradley Hartmann, go follow him on Behind the Back podcast.
We switched it up.
Construction leadership podcast. I like that way better. Behind Your Back seemed. I know why you did it because I was the builder, but now you're past that.
You know what's interesting? The number of people.
Anyways, cheers. We have to start with the cheers.
Oh, let's cheers.
It's happy hour. So,
it is happy hour.
Sponsored by Central Waters Brewery. I'm also still giving up alcohol for Lent.
Good for
I'm
you.
having the Campbell Sport Cream, our own in-house soda.
Look at you guys. You guys are next level. And I'm drinking the Drexel prescription number 1985 horse medicine. It's good. Nice little light little
light. Yep, it's a light. It's the lightest beer they would brew. They wouldn't brew anything lighter. And we still get most comments like, "Oh, it's a little dark for me."
Really?
And I'm like, okay, well, yeah.
Coors Light might be your thing. That's fine.
How it is around. That's the community I live in, right? It's like that's a lot. That's a lot of beer. I'm like, oh, it's the latest they'll make.
Well, it's funny. I wrote a book called Behind Your Back: What Purchasing Managers Say Once You Leave the Room, and How to Get Them to Say Yes. And then I was like,
really was the start of your independent. I'm making money on my own. I'm not working for the man.
This was kind of like phase two. Phase one was obviously tall, skinny ginger from Chicago, fluent in Spanish. So we started when I left Pulte, developing safety Spanish and construction Spanish language skills to bridge that.
Pulte's a national home builder.
Yes.
So that's where you start your roots out of school, whatever.
Yep. So did that 11 years. So built 1,000 homes in the field, Chicagoland area. Growing up in a lumberyard, but didn't know anything about building per se. So learned that, and then did that 11 years, started in the field, building, and then ended up in purchasing. Met a lot of salespeople. A lot of them were fantastic. Several of them were hilariously, not great at their job, that made my job in purchasing harder. So then I left, and I love writing. It helps me think about what I really think, and if I actually think that. So, Behind Your Back was kind of part two, which kind of got us more into the LBM space, which before it was really just residential, commercial builders. So, yeah.
So what was the first thing you did to make your own money?
So we launched in August of 2011, and it was really behind safety Spanish, which was and construction Spanish. So helping bridge the language gap between English speakers and Spanish speakers on the modern commercial and residential job site.
Yeah.
Which was kind of my unique background.
And then Google Translate came out and you were dead.
And then
one day somebody goes, Bradley, we could do this. Yo hablo, I speak. No shit. Cancel the business model. It's over.
Yeah, so that got us rolling, and that business is still alive and well. So,
do you own it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So that's still going.
Do you have employees, revenue?
We do. So we've got 5. We're a privately held company.
Yeah.
Joe. So we don't.
But you have 5 people.
We don't. We've got. So it's my wife and I. She joined the business full time about 7 years ago when we moved from Chicago to Dallas, and then we've got just today heard our 5th employee. So our 5th, be honest. So there's 7 total.
7 total.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, having a blast and
enough to pay the bills.
Oh yeah.
That's great. So then you wrote a book. And how many have you sold of your book?
Oh, that's a good question. We don't know. I don't know that specifically.
Hundreds of thousands, millions, 6.
No, we're in the 6-figure range somewhere. But this is where I feel like an a-hole when I say this, and I'll tell you why. So we've written 12. No. So I've written 12 books. And each one's got a little bit better. They're all all very niche-y. There you go. Hey, look at you. Dude, look at this. Dude, I need a full-time producer like Marcus.
I've done about 20 of these. This is the first I'm actually on point, so it took me 20 to get here. So
right.
I normally have to stare at the screen like, bring up something.
Yeah.
Although with camera, I don't know, it's a little far away when you watch these, but.
That's it. So I love writing. I feel like I'm getting better at it. It really.
What's the book I should read? What's your go-to? Like, this is the one that I'm most proud of, or this is what. I think they all speak to different people at different times.
Yeah, all of them are more construction niche. Now that one interesting. Yes, for your works. I'm sure I kind of slung some propaganda at you with that. So we took the first 5 chapters. Carl Moyer, super talented guy with Parr Lumber in the Pacific Northwest.
Nope.
And
Parr. Yeah, they kind of were the guys that came out with I call it Lego building practices, right? You know, the trim the cut, trim the fit.
All right.
You don't know from Par? The guys
Sure.
that like cut the lumber and then it's like pre-cut for framing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes.
Yeah, trim the fit. What the hell they call it?
I don't know.
It's like Legos.
Anyway, so Carl's their director of HR.
Okay.
Super bright guy. He's also a lot of fun. Him and I collaborated on this kind of leadership and management book. We took the first 5 chapters. I'll send a bunch here. We're writing the rest of the next 7 chapters that'll be done by the end of this year. So that's kind of leadership management, kind of for everybody book. The other ones are pretty nichey. And I mean, it's like this whole lineup of the professional sales field manual. This is your team had been sales, the QBs have been reading prospecting.
What's the FM thing?
So we took this idea of field manuals for folks that have been in the military, which are,
manual, FM, right?
yeah, so professional sales field manual. And the idea is, I realized by far, I think to answer your question, if I am, my most popular book has been Behind Your Back.
Okay.
It's 150 pages. Each chapter is literally under like 350 words. Super short. Every chapter has a little illustration, short words, short sentences. And after someone who is, I've written a book that's almost 300 pages, it almost killed me. Nobody reads it. It's too long. Nobody wants that. So we started thinking about, could we do shorter book projects, say max 125 pages, large font, more pictures, that was also really custom built. So I've been really having a fun job writing those. And the idea is for folks that aren't big readers, like a field manuals in the U.S. military, really short illustrations on single topics. And then we can go a little bit deeper in a single topic, but we're still keeping it really short. And the response so far has been multiple men saying, my wife has been making fun of me because I haven't read a book since high school. I read your book. And you're like, okay. So we're having fun doing that.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then podcast.
Podcast, yeah. So tomorrow I think it's going to come out number 320.
320.
Yeah. Dude, we are. We're having a lot of fun doing some different things. So we've got the longer style that you were part of where we're going deeper, generally 35 to 45 minutes. And then also some shorter ones, trying to get under 15 minutes on single topics, whether it's a guest, and we'll kind of keep it short, or a short editorial one tomorrow.
I've seen more of that, the shorter ones. People are listening to them more.
It's funny. It's hard to separate, the signal from the noise there so far. Yeah. We still see people like conversations. We did one on Tommy Boy with a buddy of mine who does sales for a major paint manufacturer who would not want me to say the name of. And it's like an hour and 20 minutes. That's one of our most popular episodes ever. I think if you have a good guest and people are smart and insightful and funny, they're going to listen to them. That being said,
that's why nobody watches ours, Marcus.
Me rambling.
Smart, insightful, funny. Good looking, but, it only takes so long.
You notice I did not say good looking, right? That's why we don't do a whole lot of video. But so anyway, yeah, we love doing those. We're trying to do 6 a month, doing more in the video. By the way, got to come back here. This might sound ridiculous. This is not a joke. We are doing the industry's first construction game show. It's called the Construction Leadership Game Show. Video first, about 22 minutes, 3 guests answering 3 questions on leadership, having some fun, challenging each other. It's a total ripoff of Round the Horn on ESPN.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of 4, we're only doing 3,
right.
And we're talking construction leadership guys from different segments of the industry.
Are you going to pick a winner?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Full point system.
Money's got to go to charity. There's got to be skin in the game. If you're not, you're probably, it sounds like you're maybe asking me. I'm only doing it if there's money for charity.
No. Our goal is we're going to be going to different characters.
I just invited myself.
No, you totally did. And that we totally should. But I was telling you, we're going to take this on the road, and you'd grab somebody from Drexel, you'd grab some builder, and maybe like a plumber. Right. So you get 3 different segments of the industry, all coming from different angles, having fun, talking a little bit of smack, keeping it short.
Yep.
So our first episode will be out here in the next probably 10 days.
Cool.
So we recorded 1, and it was a lot of fun. So
is it? Good.
I have no idea if we'll do more, but I believe we will. It's a good time.
Charity. I'm in.
Charity. I'm in.
Okay.
Yes.
So what did you do at Drexel today? You were here all day. What'd you do?
Dude, so we went deep with the QBs about delivering unique value to builders, and started the day, I think, is a good exercise for everybody, understanding where our current time goes. And this is a super simple activity that anybody can do, which is take 3 minutes or so and just think of all the different things that occupy your time, all the activities, drive time, email, team meetings, grabbing lunch, meeting with customers, texting customers, blah, blah, blah. And normally after like 16 or 17 line items, we run out of those. And actually, we started the day by trying to understand what are specifically the goals for the year. And then looking at which of those activities directly, not indirectly, directly help people achieve their goals. And normally, we've done this with tens of thousands of folks over the years. Normally, if you can be between 25 and 40% of your time are in activities that directly achieve your goals or point to that, you are in really good company. You are more than likely to hit those. If you are thinking it's like 70 or 80%, you are probably misunderstanding or either probably lying to yourself. And then if you're kind of in the 5 to 15%, you got to figure out how to delegate more, quit doing those things. So we did that, and all that is trying to just create space to, I think, do something that you guys are doing really well, create room to think and observe and understand and spend more time with the customers that we care most about. And that will give us an opportunity to find unique ways to deliver value, solve problems, and help everybody, I think, not only be more profitable, but also enjoy building. There's a lot of people who build for a living that are stressed out and don't like what they're doing. And at the end, try to figure out if we just did it all for practice because we didn't make any money. So how do we create that breathing room? And I think you guys are taking some significant steps to make that happen.
I think you even missed a step. Do nothing. Right? I was waiting for you to say it. When do they do nothing? When do you actually take a deep breath to not work with your builder or on your builder, to work on yourself, to not even work on yourself? Like, when are you literally waking up and doing nothing in a crazy work week in a society? I think that's one of the major downfalls of our industry. When are you taking a break to actually not do something so you can actually come up with the unique ideas, so you can actually pause and be like, hey, I need to be a good human.
Yeah,
I need to be in a better spot. I'm cranked up. So I think if you're so focused on that goal that you have to actually calendar spend, when am I not? When am I just not? What do you do for lunch? Like, I would love to know if you do that. Maybe you do that. Have you ever asked them how much time they spend on lunch? Like, what do they do at lunch, and how often do they eat lunch, and where do they eat lunch? Like, do you take 30 minutes a break a day to just not? Do what? Just not be a salesman, not answer emails, not try to get better, not try to be on the phone, not try to be productive. No. Oh yeah, how's that working out?
I'm terribly guilty of this. I will routinely just kind of pound through, and if I'm in an activity that I would characterize as kind of my unique ability, which is generally some sort of creation of reading, writing, or thinking, trying to put together ideas for clients or working with clients, I will routinely just kind of pound through, and it's 3:00. My blood sugar's tanking, and I'm getting lightheaded, and my wife's like, what are you doing? Have you eaten lunch? I'm like,
but are you in the zone the whole time?
That's different. If I'm honest.
If you're on.
Yeah.
I have again, it's not like 6 to 3:30 and then I take this. That works for a lot of people, but like a creative person, were you on then the whole time?
No. And the reality is some of those days, no, I'm just juggling shit. Right, and I'm bouncing from activity A to B. And your point is taking a step back, take a deep breath, and just relaxing will give you some space to figure out, okay, what's the most important thing? What should I be doing? And I think we're terrible at that. And we do some executive coaching. The most common reaction I get to initially when we start is I'll say, when on your calendar do you place time to shut off the phone and just think away from everyone else, to think about your people, your culture, your family? Like, what is most important? Put the first things first. Like, when do you have time for that? The most common reaction is laughter.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
You don't have time. When do I have time? I'm like, I get it. You're too busy to think. Now, this ain't easy. This is a journey we're all on. And I will sometimes, as a consultant helping someone else, I will have, Danielle on my team say like, hey, you are right now as guilty as hell of this exact same thing that you are prescribing to someone else. I say, I know. I'm a work in progress too. We can help each other. But yeah, it's a real issue.
Yeah, I just read personality types and like unintended consequences are like the negative side of it. So if you have a coaching personality, one of the biggest weaknesses is that you don't follow your own advice. I was like, oh my God, think how many fat FIED coaches there are. Right? I'm like, that's actually true. Like the least active people in the schools, right, are like the FIED dude, right? The basketball, football coach. Like, guys, you got to be in that weight room like 5 days a week. That's what it's all about. We got to stay healthy. We got to stay fit. Hey, coach.
Yes.
And he's touched the belly, right? Like, as he's pounding. Oh, don't worry about me. You worry about yourself. But I think we do that. But, a follow-up thing that I always think about, executives, anyone, when do you have your best ideas? Mowing the lawn and in the shower.
Yep.
What does that mean? You're not thinking.
Right.
You're in the shower. There is no sensory feedback.
Yep.
There's no music cranking. And they're like, oh, light bulb moment. Why the hell did that pop in my head? Because you weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
Especially a creative guy, especially an executive, salespeople, people that maybe aren't task-driven by nature, by God, right? And think differently to be creative, you have to go for a walk. You have to be in nature. You have to be in the outdoors. You have to sleep well. That's the best version of yourself. Yeah. And then you can have these spontaneous, crazy, quirky, at least I do, these intense moments of getting shit done.
To go with that, though, too, is you have those moments where you're like, all of a sudden clear, you're thinking stuff. But I'll be like, I'll get out of the shower, you get changed, and you forget about what you thought about because now you're busy again. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it turns back on again.
Really bad, which is really tells you something, right? Yeah. Like, I can't even be present. Like, think about like a monkey brain, Joe Rogan, all that. I simply refuse to be present enough to hold one thought as I'm putting clothing on. Like, we all laugh, but that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Bad. Yeah. Like, can you retain a thought for 3 minutes? Oh, probably not. No, I got a lot going on. Holy moly. Like, what have we done? What have we warped our brains with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I always go back to the Stoics lived, pre-Christ, 2,500 years ago, the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, right? They talked about the busyness of life constantly.
Right.
Shit. They thought they were busy, and their advice is still, I love reading about the Stoics and Marcus. That stuff was spot on. But geez, they thought they were busy, and they thought that was like the devil himself, right? What do we have to deal with as society? So not taking a half a day, working a 40-hour work week. Yeah. I mean, how many of the executives and sales teams you work with work 40-hour work weeks?
Oh, the most common conversation we have is, what are you trying to do, personally and professionally? Who do you want to be? And what things can you get rid of?
So what
and
do they
I think
say?
people need permission.
The top 2 questions. How do they answer it, right? Because you've done so many. What are their answers?
To what question?
You just asked 2 questions. You ask them 2 questions. What do you want to be?
I think...
Yeah. What is the answer?
Personally, I think it's by far, and again, there's probably some selection bias here, but for many of the executives we have are, I would say, between 35 and 50, and they have kids. And it's, I want to be present for my kids. I want to be around. They're growing up so fast. That's part of it.
Yeah.
The other part is to be able to...
Can I take a time out on that?
Sure.
I go, as Marcus knows, I go on youth sports, bash that every time I can, even though I'm a total hypocrite because you spoke in front of my youth kids last night, right? The program that we have. But to the sense of, as a dad, and if you're listening, I'm talking to you, and if it hits home and you're like, Joel's a jerk, I might be talking to you. If you think spending time with your kids is driving them around to tournaments that you can cheer them on and sit in a bleachers all weekend with them, as a young dad yourself, Marcus, don't do that. That's not real family time. You sit in the car, they're on their phone, you stop at Culver's, you go to the game, they're with their friends, you're with the adults, either scrolling or you're friends with the parents, that you kind of talking to being friends with the parents because you're there every weekend, and you get back in the car and you go home and then you're all exhausted. That's not fucking family time.
Right.
I don't know what that is, but it is not. That's actually killing family time. But I think a lot of them, it's more time. I spend a lot of time with my kids. He's in youth soccer. Like, that ain't fucking family time. Sorry, keep going.
That was a good rant. Powerful rant.
Joel rant. Sorry.
I think people at all levels. But
and then what's the professional common theme?
I think professional is a variant of that, which is, I want to be able to slow down and to develop a better culture, which requires me to listen and be, to use the phrase again, to be more present with my employees on a day-to-day basis. Present. That's it. So, but for many of these folks, I will say, listen, it's not hard. You are traveling Monday through Thursday. You're on the road. You're going to be working more. You will have put in probably 50 hours by Thursday. And the answer is yes. Take Friday off. Well, you're the CEO. Take Friday off. Spend it with your family. Spend it with your husband. Spend it with your wife. You have permission. And the first time people do that, to invest in themselves to rejuvenate, not only their own body, but also with the people they care about most, the reaction is they almost feel like they're not a chief executive who has earned this. They feel some blend of like guilt and also like I'm getting away with something.
Are you curious where I'm at, or do you know?
I think you've been a model for this. The way you're discussing is you're on the 4-10 days, right?
Yeah, so I have off every other Wednesday, every other Friday. For about 6 months, I call it letting the lion out of a zoo after 30 years. I just want to go back in. Right? Like I'm just like circling. I'm like, I should maybe call a builder, right? Or I should I should check in, right? So then I'll like make a reason to like get on my email. And so it's been 6 months. I'm getting better at it, but I'm still feeling called.
It's this paradox, right?
That's like everybody in retirement, right? So many people retire and they go right back to work because they're bored.
But I will say it's still a very, very short work day. I'm still at home. I end up doing tasks and chores, do laundry.
Yeah.
But what I've really gained is really not that day, and I don't spend any more time with my family, right? They're doing their life, so it's not like Fridays at 9 a.m. The weekends are mine. Laundry is done, tasks are dead. Dad is present on the weekends, which is huge. We used to be open Saturdays 7 to 12. I'd shut the gate by 1 o'clock. You get home at 2, 65, 70-hour work week.
Right.
Take a nap. Now I'm doing chores. Now I got to do laundry. Now I got to mow the lawn. Now I just got to like wake up, clean my truck out, I was traveling, clean my luggage. Get ready for Monday. Now go to church on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. Kids, Dad's here. What do you guys want to do? We got 3 hours. So, what's up? How are you? So getting that all back. I can't tell you how cool that is.
Yeah.
Hard, honestly, because you do not think you're giving your best effort, right? You're driven. You're born 110%. Go, go, go. I have a Keith Badnor shout out, right? He reads Goggins and Jocko and these high testosterone dudes, right? Sometimes I told him just stop. I'm reading a book on Eastern monks. Phenomenal book. Love it. Actually, the book was he was a monk and came back into daily life and what he learned and how he did it. So such a great book. But it's about being truly present, right? And he even said of all religions, if you think of all the heavens, the Buddhist, the Islam, it's literally just being present. He said, I think a heaven is actually just being present. And if you're truly present, it is literally only love. There is nothing else. He's like, that's the key to life, is to be present. And that's the breathing, the meditation, because you're just being present. So when I try to go, one thing they said to do is a tip and trick. Every time you take your daily walk, your daily drive home from work, or even walk up your own steps, even in your own house, find something you've never seen before. He said he's done that, and he'll be like, where's the fire extinguisher where you work? They did it to one guy who was like 3 feet from his office, but he's actually never saw it because he was never, right, not being able to hold the thought, right? Like, I don't know where the fire extinguisher is. It's right there. Oh, yeah. I knew that. Right? So I think being present and being present to you're here to teach our salesmen how to be present for the builder. In essence, that's really is what you're saying. Free up your time to be present. But isn't that just what we're talking about in life?
Yeah.
Like if you could just be present, if we can just have this conversation and nothing else matters. And shout out to Caitlin. Caitlin Stahl was our HPD leader. I'm not sure you met her.
No, I know. Yeah.
She was in a accident in January, and she was saved by God. She should have died. The car I saw was smashed right up into her. And they were actually able to get her out before it blew up, which is only minutes later.
Jeez.
And she's in a wheelchair still and has been for 8 weeks, will be for another 4 weeks.
No kidding.
Hasn't been able to do anything. I saw her for the first time. We had lunch, and I said, what'd you get out of it, right? Because I know she thinks that way. I like to make her cry, so I like to make her think deeper. And she knew that was coming. She's like, so what I've learned so far is to be present. I always, kid's birthday party, I'm thinking, how am I going to get these people out of here and start cleaning up? I didn't sit and just watch my daughter play for an hour. And at work, it was always, I'd be extremely frustrated at a meeting because it was a frustrating meeting. For the frustrating meeting, because I was frustrated, not for the people in the room or the agenda, I needed to go to another meeting, and this one was running long. And I was picking up all the tasks for everybody because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, even when you told me not to. I remember her being in meetings, and she'd always write everything down. Even if you said you got it, she'd write it down. And I'm like, Caitlin, I said, I know what you're talking about because you would write that down, and I knew that meant she goes, even my body language. Like, you got that? Which means I'm going to circle back with you. I'll probably half own it. And always was the next thing she said. So again, just being present. And again, for a builder, a customer, what better is there than being present? I have a great one. I have a great one-liner, everybody. This is great.
Go on.
The book, a great book I'm reading right now that I just started. Hospitality book of hospitality. You can just Google that. Unhospitable, book of hospitality, being unhospitable.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter.
On Twitter.
Is it How to Give More? What's the subtitle? Like How to Give More?
It's like really bold yellow letters.
Yeah,
right?
it's all
Yes.
yellow.
No, that's not it.
No, it's like
it looked like it was maybe on the right. No.
the subtitle's like How to Give More Than Is Expected or
It's
something.
like put restaurant, put hospital. Yeah, unreasonably hospitality. Right. So this guy, the quote in the first 6 pages, which was awesome. Yeah, somebody recommended that on Twitter, or I retweeted it or something. So I got the book, and it's been great, and it's like 8 pages in, and it's got me. And I've read, just like all of us here, I've read a million of these kind of books. It's got me. He comes out with service is black and white, hospitality is color. Right? Build it. Now let's frame it back to Drexel and why you're here. Service means, yes, I shipped your load on time. I did the estimate, you got an invoice, you got a receipt. That's customer service. Hospitality's color. The sizzle, the flair. Yeah. And again, back to being present. That's hospitality. I love it. Service is black and white, hospitality's color. That's my new thing.
You ever connected with Tim Rethlake?
Yes, he's been on our podcast.
That's what I thought. All right, I was having this moment.
Guy.
So this is waiting for me at Tim Rethlake.
Hi, Tim. Shout out. What's up, Tim?
Oh,
we
there's
love you.
That's. Let me go over the basics. Camera.
That's the
I've been
camera.
staring at you.
We got a camera.
We got a really good profile of my face going
That's
here.
how it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Tim Rethlake.
Yeah, episode 70. There's Tim and I.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, of course,
you got the fireplace.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, on brand.
Guy slings fireplace.
He was good.
He's great. Yeah. Super thoughtful. He bought that book for me. He'll buy. If he has a good book, he'll just buy it and send it to me. Very thoughtful, and it's waiting for me. What's that?
How many people does he do that for?
Oh, I think a lot.
So you being a book guy, I've learned this is like it's almost a burden and a curse. Let me recommend you a book, and you're the book, and then the guy circle backs with you or the girl. Hey, did you read that book? And you're like, dude, I'm like 40 deep in recommended books.
So let me challenge you on that, or let me challenge you isn't the right word. I'll give you an alternate view of that.
Yeah. What does that mean, or how do you handle that?
So
that's good.
I take a.
I
take a very zen
podcast. You need to like circle back and
I take a very zen view of this thing.
Your podcast.
So you mentioned stoicism. So Ryan Holiday.
Love Ryan Holiday. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. Texan.
Like the same guy.
Yes. So big fan of his, and his whole thing is if there was
what's his best book so we can recommend it. I'm really bad at remember book names.
Man.
Yeah, the obstacles, the way. Discipline is destiny. Well, he's got the series on the Stoics, right? Courage is calling is his last one, and then because there's discipline, courage, and
justice,
which will be his next one, which I'm really interested in because I don't know how he'll spin that because that one seems boring to me. But
if he's written it, I've read it. The Daily Stoic is my most gifted book. It is. Just the whole idea is short story.
Stoic. Nick Whitty, shout out to Nick. He gifted to me the Daily Stoic.
Oh, really?
It's the only book he could read, he said.
Yeah, like, 1 page a day.
Yeah,
Real.
He's like, I got this.
Yep. And by the way, if you want to let people know you really care, he has a leather bound. It's actually a Bible manufacturer is the printer of that leather bound book. It's gorgeous. It's about $100.
Bring up the link.
I'll buy those 12 at a time and then hand those out for really specific occasions.
Thank you.
Anyway,
I didn't get one of them, so appreciate that.
You already covered. You already had it.
Must have been 13.
You're good.
Must have been 13. I had to be,
you were 13th
on
the list.
Just like right below the list.
But anyway, so Ryan Holiday, his line is, if there was ever a book that I was interested in reading, I wouldn't let time or money, I might be butchering this, time or money stop me from getting it. My view is this. It's a small investment in education. Every year I should be investing in myself, in my own education. If there's a book, I'm like, I'd like to read that book. I don't think about it, I just buy it. Now, my wife, who also works with me, who generally does all the ordering on Amazon, she will point out that in this last month, you have ordered 16 books. Seems like a lot. And my thing is, I'm going for the long run. At a certain point in time, there will be a book. I'm not going to go into why. Actually, from Tim. Tim gave me another book that was a fiction book. It's called A Gentleman in Moscow. There's a whole bunch of references that I did not understand about Russian authors. And I have a book on Lenin. I got a book on Stalin. I don't know when I got them. Years ago.
Yeah.
Grab it off. Dude, now I'm kind of going this rabbit hole about Russian history and Russian authors. Dostoevsky and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, that book's supposed to be great. Did you like it?
I did. It was really good.
No, it's not so much that I don't have time to read.
Yeah.
It's more like people recommend me books that I don't really want to read, or it's not on my priority list.
Just tell them. They got to understand. And I would just say, listen, it's going to go in my library.
I was like, yeah, that's what I say. I'm like, it's on the list. It's on the list. It just always seems like this almost of a burden, because you're like,
it's similar like a phone call.
Hartmann gave it to me.
Where if somebody calls you, do you have to pick up the phone?
No.
No, you do not. If someone sends me a book, they must live with the fact that I may or may not choose to read this at a certain time, but I will save it. And sometimes I will. And if they're like, you know what, Joel's a real a-hole. I gave him that book. He didn't read it promptly. You know what? I would question the understanding about our relationship.
Relationships. That's fair.
Yeah,
That's
right?
For who that person is.
So anyway.
Beneath the Scarlet Sky. I'm not a big fiction guy.
Okay.
That book is
Beneath the Scarlet Sky.
Freaking lights out. World War II, true story. Had me from the beginning.
Is it? So it's nonfiction?
Yes, right. Fiction. Well,
it's fiction.
It's realistic fiction. It's his story.
Okay.
I think there's some freedom in there. Has to. Maybe not. I mean,
some of this narrative nonfiction.
Yeah.
Which is it's real, but it's not real.
But they said it's a story, so again, maybe it didn't read like Unbroken, which I knew right away was his story. It read like a realistic fiction.
What's it about?
World War II, but Italy side. A guy in Italy, which I didn't know a lot of the Italy side. I've read the Unbroken and the German side, All Quiet on the Western Front, the American side, obviously. But reading the Italian side,
Mussolini action.
Yeah, but how Italian citizen, a young guy, how that was affected because they actually were hoping for the Americans to arrive.
Yeah.
But which actually means they're probably going to kill a lot of Italians because they're actually still in war with Italy. I didn't quite understand that. That wasn't it. It was a love story meets like race cars meets Goggins Jocko meets this Italy guy that loves violin music and the Alps. Got into Christianity. He was saved by a bunch of priests that were kind of doing shady shit and kind of storing the kids up in the woods and
a lot of angles here.
It was cool. No, that's what I mean. There was a lot going on.
So
I just killed that book. I killed it I was on vacation. I feel so bad for my wife. Shout out to Pam who does not listen to these. I'm on vacation, and when I go on vacation and I get into a book, like the world doesn't exist.
Yes, I'm the same way.
I think I have a big heart, or I like to think I have a big heart in that way. It personally affects me.
Really?
And I'll talk about it. We had dinner and we're 17 drinks in. I'm like, so anyway, it's this book. It's driving me nuts. And they'll be like, they're not reading the book.
The angry priests.
They don't care, and then they'll be like, that's what's going on right now. So they'll be talking, and I won't be present because I'm 12 drinks in. And I'll just be thinking God, I wonder what's going on there. And I'm like, it's not real. It's a fucking book. Or I'll be on the beach and they'll be, having their beachy talk, and I'm like, Joel. I'm like, reading. I what? Oh, yeah, he's reading. I'm out for the day.
All right, I got one that's relevant here. I'll give it a quick plug. There's a guy named Paul Kix, Kix.
Yes.
He's an ESPN, I believe, editor who also writes on the side.
You really need this today too. This is good.
There we go. He's written something called The Saboteur. He's got a new book coming out literally any day now.
It looks like a chachi. Sorry, Paul, if you're listening.
Dude, The Saboteur is the French resistance side of World War II that I knew nothing about. It's already been optioned into a movie, which doesn't mean anything, but this should absolutely be a movie.
I do give it a half star. If it's going to be a movie, yes. I'm like, well, somebody thinks it's good.
Yes. And all these are optioned, and then, 90% of them were never made. But anyway, I would recommend this to a friend. What you just described, minus the priest and the Italian Mussolini side, this was kind of the French resistance side. Okay. I couldn't put it down. I'm not a fast reader. I ripped through this in a weekend. It was phenomenal.
So you being a reader, I have a theory that I came up with when I had an English degree, and I love to read. If you get 50 pages in and it's not good, dump
yes.
it. If it doesn't speak to you at that point in your life, dump it. Don't struggle through a 400-page Peace and War because you're supposed to read Peace and War. Just don't read it.
Yes. So this is kind of relevant to kind of that earlier point that I made. And there's this idea, this anti-library that I subscribe to, which is the books that you have not read are more valuable than the books that you have read. For me, it gives me a license to buy more books. My point is,
you're not a Kindle guy? You're a hardcover guy solely?
Oh, no. Just books, though. I like the physical. I will.
That's what I meant. You're not a Kindle guy.
Oh, no. Sorry. No, I can't. Now, I will.
I'm like 90% Kindle.
I can't. I make notes.
Like when everybody's watching TV.
Yeah, I can't either.
Well,
I got highlight stuff. I'm going to pull. Well, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about the podcast.
So
I'm thinking about the newsletter.
You're like within the footnote guy.
Oh, I'm highlighting them. I'm trashing the books.
See, I do it when like my family's watching TV on the couch time thing.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing for my family. Then I'm always on my book, and I don't like a light on.
Yep.
I like to read in bed too.
Yep.
So I've kind of
same here.
Converted to
I know.
So my wife brings up the wall. She doesn't go to the wall. Then she gives me an elbow.
By the way, there should be a wives of podcasters that we don't listen to. My wife, I'll be like, hey, I did this one. We had a guest on who's like a friend and a client. I'm like, did you listen to that? She's like, nope. Yeah, 320 episodes. She's listened to like 2. And
my wife has listened for 2 minutes, and she's like, I can't. Like, you're so annoying, and you're over the
totally top. Legitimate.
That's my wife either. Because she'd be like, well, I heard you editing it. Like, I got the idea of it. It's like, okay, man.
By the way, shout out to Marcus. I have thought, I hate to even admit how many times I've thought about the brilliance of your podcast. The premise, the structure, the name is so good. It's brilliant. When people are rejected and down on their luck, you come and say, you know what? I want to hear your story. And we're going to help build you up to the next thing in life and that's the punchline in coaching, especially at the professional range.
The people here listening don't know Marcus's podcast.
Why not? Yeah. You guys done 76 of these. What are you guys doing?
Well,
here?
I mean, he said it, but I mean, like, it's like they don't listen to every episode. We're assuming we have special people because we have such a astute guest that we have unique.
Astoundingly astute. I love it.
We have a unique opportunity to get new people on here. So
yeah, Fired Coaches podcast started over the pandemic in 2020 and. Haven't actually done one since June, took a little bit of a break, but actually it just started kind of kicking around the stuff with kicking it back in gear. And I would say the best compliment I got was actually from people who were like, felt like they had a weight lifted off their shoulders because they didn't really tell their story to anybody.
Right.
Who would listen? You're fired.
You just disappeared.
Curb, right, whatever. And they felt a lot better about just getting it out there, so which was kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, and this whole idea too where coaches, especially in professional ranks, coaches are hired to be fired. The odds of you having a 20 or 30-year run are probably 1 in a million these days.
I learned it in that Mike Leach, not the Mike Leach book, the book you recommended.
The Perfect Pass.
Yeah. See, I can't remember book names.
Love that book.
I learned that in that book, how like a life of a D1 coach is like 2 years. And you like
brutal.
Rise up and then one bad thing and you're dead to everyone.
Yeah.
And you got to move like every 2 years, like no matter what. Like either you're
the
going
toll on their families,
the
hours. Oh, it's so brutal.
And so few are the actual head coach. It's all behind the scenes coaches.
Yep.
Just trying to grind, which Marcus was part of that as a university coach as well.
What did you coach? What university?
I coached Division III, so I coached like 12 years of basketball around the state here.
For hoops, and then you also got.
We're like the luckiest dude.
Jim Ingman. Yeah. He was like, I was a coach for college with Bemidji State for hockey. I'm like, what? Well, that totally came out. We're
blessed with some really cool people. Jim will tell you that freely. Marcus, you got to peel it out. So
yeah, apparently, yeah. That's an onion.
Two very
layers
unique,
here.
Two very unique, love them both, but very different people.
Speaking of which, another book that came up here, $1 Trillion Coach.
Yes.
Andy mentioned that yesterday. I'm like, I think that's a book that.
It's been a long time since I even thought of that book, but that was a game changer for Andy. Who reads like one book every decade, so that's probably why.
What's the most impactful book you have read in the last 10 years? The one book and the most impactful that I've read in the last 10 years, says Andy. Yeah, but it's a book that I
thought
think.
You were like answering it.
Oh, no, I was messing.
So let's have the same question.
What's that?
You just asked it. Impactful best book you read in 10 years.
Or
30 days or 6 months. What's top of mind right now?
I generally suffer from kind of recency bias here.
No, that's good. Like what it's like top of mind. What's on top of mind?
Top of mind for me is I gave a keynote recently on innovation, and actually, there's a $4 book I believe on Amazon. It's called something. It's from like 1953. It's a technique to generate new ideas or something like this. It's a tiny pamphlet. It's like 23 pages or something like that.
And they mailed it to you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's why I do
it's
the
a book.
Kindle.
Like,
I just put it on the Kindle.
it was very light. I was like, they forgot the book? No, it was in there. And, but for that, trying to think about how do you generate new ideas, and especially in the construction industry, that many aspects of it are very resistant to new ideas. And, we didn't come up with this because this is the way we've always done it. We've been successful doing this. And so I reread The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen, kind of a classic on it. But he kind of walks through a few different case studies, one from like the disk drive space, the other one on mechanized excavation equipment going back from 1850 and showing how these new ideas come in and how successful companies get into a space where they have good margins, serve large customers, and intentionally, through good leadership in theory, good management, ignore these low-cost, cheap things that aren't relevant, that allows them to, over time, supplant them. And that's why you continuously see large, successful companies like East Bay. East Bay is a Wisconsin company, right?
Was.
So I grew up, East Bay was the magazine, and we'd be so excited to get it once a month.
Baller.
And we would buy a bunch of stuff. Oh, I would ask my mom to buy shoes from this. So internet comes along, right? Zappos uses East Bay because the venture capital guys for Zappos said, listen, no one's ever going to buy shoes if they can't try them on. They said, no. Yeah. East Bay's been doing this for like 15 years. Yeah, they're successful. We're just going to do that and do it online. East Bay still doesn't really totally embrace the internet. And then another couple decades after getting their ass kicked by Zappos, goes out of business in 2023. You're like, they were the most positioned company ever.
The funniest thing about East Bay going out of business was no one remembered they were in business for like 20 years.
I have deep memories of it.
No, but nobody thought of them for 20 years.
Right.
Then you read they went out of business, and you're like, damn, no way. And you're like, but I actually haven't thought about them for 20 years till today is what I'm saying. Like I remember vividly.
But that's 30 minutes where I grew up. Is where they're originally founded, Wausau.
Right.
And then they got bought out by Foot Locker, and then there's a bunch of changes that way. But yeah, like all of a sudden they go to business, and everyone's sharing on Twitter all the old magazine clips, and it's like everyone's like all excited. It's like, well, where have you been? Like they were around, you know.
They're like,
well, I even thought local. So there's local papers that are really, really struggling, and they're so key to these little communities. Kewaskum Statesman, Shuttle, Campbellspur News. I had an idea for them, right? Because they're just dying. Because by the time that comes out, Facebook has been out with every article there is, locally, like Kewaskum Chatter, Nosy Neighbors. That's all exists for little towns, right? Where people can just post stuff about the town. So the paper's really, 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 really struggling. And again, traditional ads in there. Who even subscribes? So how do you even generate ads and all that? I said, it would be cool if you had QR codes in all your papers, and it would actually be like, here's the actual game clips of the game. Or we did an interview of little Johnny hitting the home run, right? Like if you made your paper more into an expanded internet version, but you could only get the paper to get the QR codes, right? I'm like, local house burns down, QR code, I can actually see the fire, right? Like I'm like, that might be something, but they have to keep expanding.
Gotta find a way to, obviously, no new news on the newspaper business, but how was it relevant? I think at the end of the day, what did people care about most? Themselves. And if you did an interview with my kid on, the success of their lemonade stand that made $180 over the weekend that they gave to charity, I'm going to go find that.
Grandma and Grandpa going to copy?
Yes. But I still think like this whole idea that, and I get it, like attention span is small. Nobody reads anything in print. Print books are up over the last couple, 5 years. I still get the newspaper in print, but it's really good content that I say, I'm willing to pay for this.
Correct, right.
You got to be special. You
just got to bring up your game. Yeah,
you got to be great. And if it's just going to be the normal shit you've been doing, capitalism, it's going to take care of that. You're going to get weeded out. I don't get too hung up on that, but I think you got to, again, kind of back to this idea of innovation. So anyway.
Yeah, innovation. Innovation in our industry. What do we got for time? This seems like we're flying.
45 minutes.
We're 45 in?
Yep.
Oh, shit, we got to go.
So we've got
what? We can do
25% of the way there? Is that where we're at?
No.
How deep we go?
Just get warmed up.
Now I'm feeling good.
You're here till Friday, right?
Horse medicine. You told me a 6-hour pod. Is that not true?
If you've never been on a podcast or don't host a podcast, and you see Rogan with a 2.5-hour one, you're like, what do they do? Like, how high are they? What do they talk about? Until you're on a podcast, And the time just flies.
Yes.
Like the time just flies.
Well, and if we're doing it right, the audience is like, when is this thing over? These guys suck. But if it flies for them, that's where, hey, again, kind of the same point. If it's good content, right?
Yeah. But it's like having beers at the bar, right? Like time just is, again, back to, this is really a present podcast. Back to being present. Time truly is an illusion, right? Like this last 45 minutes, I wasn't aware of the 45 minutes I spent with you.
Right.
Which thus it's an illusion. It's just a perception of where we were and where we're going to go. It really doesn't make anything. Yet you have to control your time by time management. I don't know. That was just a weird.
Well, you've had those. I'm sure you had
Camel's Blood Cream high buzz.
Horse medicine. Yes. Prescription number 1985.
Huge buzz.
I'm sure you've been on those, and we value and cherish the time that has been given on everyone who's ever come on any one of our episodes. That being said, when you realize, and this idea of like being in sync, this is a physiological thing. If they were like hooked up to the three of us and could see our brainwaves, they would see them largely moving in the same pattern. So that's a real physiological thing. But when you're not in sync, I'm concerned as a podcast host, like, what's my next question? Is it a good question? How can I get them talking? Can I get them more engaged? They don't seem truly bought in. Now I'm forced to go on two different tracks. One, here listening to you. The other one is, how do I bridge to this next part? Because saying going great. I'm not giving these feelings.
I'm guessing, and I'm guessing it's going the same way they're not present. They're trying to answer your question before you said it. They're super nervous of how they're being perceived.
Yeah.
They're thinking, what do I look like to everybody else right now? What did I just say in the past that I should have said different?
Right.
He's going too fast for me. I can't think. Right? He's losing you, but he's actually not here either. Like, you just got to be here. You just can't overthink it.
And you're almost like, you can take it two ways. You can ask the simple questions and you just get through it and have it done. Or take a risk and ask something really wild that might take it to the best podcast ever, but it might go a different way too. You know,
yes. I'm a big fan of you know what? I'm going to take a hard right turn here. I don't know who said that first. Maybe Tim Ferriss. I steal a lot of my good one-liners from Tim Ferriss. You know what
Ferriss is good.
He's great.
He's gotten way too mushroomy lately, though. I haven't listened in years.
He's going deep in the mushroom territory.
Psilocybin
or psilocybin or psilocybin. There it is. Whatever the hell it is.
I think he needs that personally. I think he's a pretty goofed up guy. Like, I think he's trying to get his own brain right.
I'm not going to waste it. Everyone's fighting their own battle, Joel.
I'm sure Ferriss. Tim, if you're listening to the podcast, that's nothing personal. Yeah, don't think he is. So. All right, we are at the billboard time. We are not going to milk this out aimlessly that we were on a horrible track. We can take it a million ways. We got it nowhere. We didn't talk about salesmen or builders at all.
I failed to actually let him know about this too.
No way. So I do one Ferriss thing, all 76 episodes. The last question I ask everyone that's ever come on, and always will, I give them the billboard question. So one big giant billboard. Marcus didn't do his job. He was getting bragged up the whole time as my free volunteer producer.
Gotta stay humble.
And fall 7, rise 8.
Humble, hungry, and smart. Well, it's not that hungry. Actually, he was kind of took this episode off a little bit. Smart for sure.
He was just so excited. So we do a big giant billboard. You put anything you want on.
Yeah.
You already know the question.
I do.
I stole this from Tim Ferriss.
Yes.
But I love it. It's one of my favorites because it leads to kind of a closing topic. And you know what's one of the weird things that I think people's billboards change over time. Your passion and your why can shift. And that's totally okay. It's like where I was when I was 25. My why is way different.
Yep.
I think in 10 years, which is really hard to fathom that you can, in 10 years, my why might be different again. That's okay.
Yes. So do you have to ask the question formally or can I just do it?
I did. You got a big giant billboard. What do you want to go?
Well, when you say it like that, it seems like you're really present in the moment. Seems like you're racing to get done.
That was the way we're
just trying to get done. Just shut up.
Just say it.
Yeah, all right.
Damn it. It was really good till the last 30 seconds here.
So I'm going to give you, because we have so much time, I'm going to give you two. The first one is on my chest here. We say this at the
fucking classic podcast guy. He comes on my podcast, one big giant billboard. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you two.
The one I feel is a cop-out. This is our mantra. It's on hats. It's on most of the clothes that I wear. I'm here 2 days. It's on both my clothes. It's you are owed nothing. Deliver value first, which is, everybody says deliver value first. There's nothing new. There's a story from an LBM guy in Alaska that kind of gave me the you are owed nothing. But we've kind of seen this really resonates. Young, old, male, female, like everybody, I think, understands this idea of entitlement knowing that, hey, nobody owes you anything, and your job is to deliver value first. And if everyone kind of follows that, a lot of magic can happen, right?
The color.
There you go.
Color happens.
Yes, way to bring it back. The second one, I will just say, I believe I stole this from somebody. You know what? I'm going to switch up. The founder of the modern internet browser is a guy named, oh my gosh. I'm going to come back to it. Anyway.
I'll get back on my game here.
Oh, yes. University of Illinois, the Mosaic browser.
Tim Berners-Lee?
Nope. Keep going. Venture capital fund, A16Z. Gosh darn it. Anyway, I'll keep talking. You'll figure it out. University of Illinois alum. It's the Harvard of the Midwest. Maybe you've heard of it.
Harvard of the Midwest is UW-Oshkosh.
That is false. Don't say that again.
Mark Anderson?
Mark Anderson. So he often talks about
we talked about that guy all the time.
Strong views, weakly held. Strong views, weakly held, which is have an opinion, right? Think about why you think that. If new information comes to light, or new people come in your life, or you have experiences that change it, do not hold so strongly onto that. And I find myself repeating that for me, for my kids, for our clients. Strong views, weakly held. I am 44.
Yeah, so I'm 49. That's a huge Stoic thing too.
Oh,
right. You never know. You know nothing. The only time to be smart is when you relearn something. Give me like Stoic quote on knowledge or learning. Right. I'm missing a quote there. It's very similar.
Is it the one where you cannot learn that which you already think you know?
Yes, that might be it.
Oh, all right.
Who said it though?
Oh, I don't know.
One of the guys.
Zenithius?
One of the dudes.
One
of the dudes. One of the Romans.
TM that. I also control what you can control. TM. I came up with that last week.
Okay, good. Great.
All right, good talk. Let's get the
hell out
of here.
That is a really good one that I think we should talk about. This one I think is just your brand. I like that one a lot.
I feel like you just spoke down to it.
I think it's time for an upgrade. I don't love it. It's too wordy.
One,
2, 3, 4.
You know what I feel? I feel like we're not in sync anymore. I feel like really out of sync with all of this.
I don't.
I either need to go or I need more horse medicine.
Since you brought that up, I forgot to tell you about the billboard. We got started going.
I feel great.
You had one job.
One job. Rolling. No, I don't.
All right.
I do not love your brand.
Everything
I thought that
I aspire to be and teach, you just took a dump on. But let's keep moving.
No, it's bad. It's what you just said. What you think you know weekly. Like weekly. Like maybe, I don't know.
Let's keep moving. Well, what else you got? You got other ideas?
It doesn't say your name.
I've literally given thousands of hats out with this on it. Yeah, it looks good on a hat.
Just because you put it on a hat and gave them away for free does not mean it looks good.
I regret this decision to come on episode 76, the Steve McMichael Chicago Bears Mongo podcast.
Did Aaron Rodgers get traded at this moment?
Please tell me yes.
Yes, because then we will be here till
the end of time. Billboard, they'll just cut it
No, we'll leave it.
We trimmed this episode back to 12 minutes. It was strong at the beginning.
The latest tweet said that before they got on the plane to go back to New York,
they shook hands. They did drugs.
They asked Woody Johnson, what are the chances Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet, and he said, we'll see.
Are we going to have to watch the flight back to Lambeau again?
Great update.
Like the Favre Mississippi thing?
Yeah, are we going to do the Rodgers flight back?
I think so.
What a douchebag.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
What's a Bears fan feel about him?
He hates him. He's hated him though for
forever. If he leaves, he's gone. He's out of Green Bay. What are your thoughts as a Bears fan? Instant reaction.
Minus your emotional baggage with Rodgers.
None of it's emotional. It's very, it's very logical. Consequential.
I gotta get out of here.
No, I'm thrilled he's gone. Obviously, he's one of the greatest ever, and he followed up another one of the greatest ever. I can't wait for you guys to have a mediocre, crappy quarterback like we've had.
And he really
for the last 30 or 40 years.
You think of it as a Bears fan, he really has been a Bears killer. Like, we can lose game after game after game, or just look like shit.
He's rejuvenated every time he plays the Bears.
Like, as a Packer fan, just from my perspective, we're 3-1, 3-2, and then we have a Bears game. We're like, well, I don't know, that's 4.
He's just so easy to dislike. This. How can you, with a straight face, talk about doing this darkness retreat? Like, this is a normal thing people talk about, and y'all just got to wait. I wait for the Super Bowl, then I go. Like, the thing about him that I believe, of course I don't know. as much as he says he doesn't want this attention, he loves this attention. He craves this. We've got the whole football world and sporting world all talking about Aaron Rodgers. He would only construct this situation to this degree if he wanted this sort of thing.
I think he's a manipulative, grading douchebag based on that, right? Because I think he goes on podcasts like, oh, stupid media. I think he actually talks the way, and I think he actually believes that he's not that guy, which thus kind of makes him that guy. Back to not talking to his family or there's some weird shit there. I
think like Kyrie Irving, I'm not sure if he's totally in that territory. Kyrie Irving, I heard somebody describe him as a pseudo-intellectual. And I'm like, that feels right, where he's reading enough to say stuff that's intelligent, but then is obviously behaving in a way that is far from intelligent. Where Aaron Rodgers, I also believe, is an intelligent guy, but I also struggle to understand, like, are you getting what you want out of this whole thing? I don't know.
And I think because he's a highly paid we just went through this with a boy in our high school in basketball. I won't say his name, but he won't watch it anyway. But really good kid, goofy, lovable. He's like a son to me, and he had a really hard senior season. I mean, really hard. It was just an a-hole on the floor. But I think no one ever asked him if he wanted to be a leader. Happened to be 6'5", happened to be our best player of all time, right? Four-year starter on varsity. Did anybody ask him if he wanted to be that dude? Like, are we sure Aaron Rodgers, again, they would say they want to be that dude.
Right. He's
thrown to that dude. He's kind of a nerdy guy. I think he's actually smart. I don't think he's like a Kyrie Irving smart. I think he's actually smart. Yeah. But, like, I think sometimes they're thrust into this leadership role.
Sure.
And then, like, I don't know what to do with this, so this is how I act, and it just comes off as, like, crass. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, Kyrie Irving, yeah. I mean, I've met a few people that, like, use language, and they use these huge words. Photographic general shooter for the what? The hell? I don't think you use that right. But that's kind of how he comes across, for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just struggle with he's always going to be the smartest guy in the room kind of thing.
He does seem that way.
That's where it comes off as,
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Brett Favre totally played up the Wisconsin thing and kind of got it. And I think Aaron Rodgers never really got who he was as a Green Bay Packer either. Like for long hood, global heroism, fanhood. Like just have a couple bush lights, wear a little camo, show up at a local bar, crush some beers, you're good. We don't expect a lot from our quarterback. In love we trust. In love we trust.
So is that the idea? Is this the idea that real Packers fans are saying
we can't wait?
On to Jordan Love, and we believe that Jordan Love is going to be the next 36 months is going to be the successor.
We don't even care.
It doesn't matter.
Go.
It's just on. Turn the page. It does
not matter. Let's just see what he is.
Okay.
Turn the page, and then I think all jokingly we're like, in love we trust. All you need is love. Let's rock and roll. Did it before rock and roll. No one knows if he's good. I don't think any Packer fan even alludes that he's good. We're just ready to go. And we have seen signs where he may not suck. Like it doesn't look like he's a bust, so fuck it, let's roll.
I think there's a leadership angle here that we don't have to dig into, but it's this idea that I often think about, which is if there's an inevitability to a situation with a certain, especially talented person on your team, if there's an inevitability to something happening, make that decision now. Move on. And I feel like you guys have been doing that for a while, which, hey, I get it from a team that hasn't had a good. See,
hey, you're on my podcast.
Unprepared
What's
for
up,
this.
Mace?
This doesn't happen on the construction leadership podcast, but
what's up?
Should I heat up the ravioli for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are we keeping this?
Are
we keeping this on the podcast?
Yeah, of course.
I think we should.
Hi, May. You're on episode 76. Yes, please heat up the ravioli, and I know I have CYE at 6, and we have to do donation boxes tonight.
Okay.
All right, so I'll pick up Marcus in a little bit.
I have to leave in like 10 minutes, so.
Okay. How was the ACTs today?
Good.
Did you cry? When do you get it back? The results?
Like 2 to 3 weeks, they said.
All right. Peace. Love you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Truth be told, it is 5:33. I have a 12-minute drive. I have to eat supper, and then I have to be at CYE at the church to do donation boxes. So this episode podcast
it's been great to be here.
Is over. Great to be here. Thanks for coming on. Peace out.
This is how we
everybody.
close it.
Thank you.